Let's start by giving our praises to the Most High, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in the ancient Hebrew is the Rakak Kwadash. Double honors to the elders, a great millstone who taught us his truth, honors to the brothers who risk their life and freedom to push the gospel, peace and blessings to the elect, which would be the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel, according to scripture and according to prophecy. But the elect would be 1/3 of the Israelites who will return back to the Most High during these last days, which is happening now, to receive salvation. While the 2/3 of Israel who don't turn back to the Most High in time be destroyed with America. And that's all according to prophecy. So we back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shah. This is going to be titled, ICE Now Has Access to Private Databases for Deportations and Citizenship Removal. Again, ICE now has ICE now has access to private databases for deportations and citizenship removal. So again, ICE is just getting started, especially with this $150 billion budget they just got from Trump. But again, ICE now has access to different databases throughout America to further target and oppress the people. So we're going to get started with this first video. And my brother Kalab had made mention of this. He said he felt like with all of the deportation stuff going on, he felt like it was a psyop. Like in the middle of all the chaos, that they was probably working on something or testing something out. And hey, through the spirit, he was right. So this is what they was testing out that we about to see. Pretty much this new face scanning, facial recognition technology. But we're going to get the video.
ICE agent just got a new power, and leaked emails obtained by 404 Media show exactly what they're doing. It's called Mobile Fortify. Point a phone at anyone's face, and it instantly tells you who they are. This tech uses the same database that takes your photo when you enter and leave the U.S. Millions.
You heard that? The phone, you point it at somebody, it instantly tells you who they are. Now, it was what he said that caught my attention.
And it instantly tells you who they are. This tech uses the same database that takes your photo when you enter and leave the U.S.
It's the same database when you enter and leave the U.S. So pretty much going through the border, going through customs. Anytime you come in or out of America, you have to take a picture. And ICE, with this new app on their phone, when they take pictures of people, it's linked to that database. So everybody who has a passport, everybody who's been in and out of America, and possibly even the DMV, everybody with an ID or a driver's license, I won't be surprised if it's linked to that as well. But again, what are they testing this out for? Letting you know they got something else up their sleeves.
Or media show exactly what they're doing. It's called Mobile Fortify. Point a phone at anyone's face, and it instantly tells you who they are. This tech uses the same database that takes your photo when you enter and leave the U.S. Millions of Americans who have traveled internationally are in this system. The leaked emails show ICE can now scan faces in the field, no warrant, no probable cause, just point and identify. The app has something called We Have Some Serious.
That was pretty much the point. You know, they got this phone with an app that's linked to the database with the U.S. Border and Customs to instantly identify people. Now we're going to get a couple precepts real quick. This is the book of Micah, chapter 2, verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. In case anybody want to read this. Yeah, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. And when the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. So they up late at night, coming up with evil plans, how they're going to further oppress and target the people, especially the 12 tribes, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. So they think of these evil plans late at night. It says what? When the morning is light, they practice it. So while they were deporting people and causing all this chaos by people running, they frantic, they not paying too much attention, they distracted. In the middle of all that, they testing out new technology, new facial recognition software in the middle of all of that. So when the morning is light, they practice it. So they trying out, practicing this new facial recognition on their phones. So they literally practicing new wickedness, new ways to target and oppress the people in the midst of already targeting and deporting them. So all the trouble and the chaos they causing in the midst of that, they practicing for their next move. But we gonna get this next video. I might leave that there. So we gonna get a few spots here. We gonna kind of jump around. As a matter of fact, I want to get the title of this. Immigration expert. ISIS Medicaid move. It's about stripping U.S. citizenship for deportation. So not only does ICE have access to the database at the U.S. border and customs that has everybody photo ID, they now gonna have access to everybody's information from Medicaid and Medicare. Now we're gonna get into this. As a matter of fact, yeah, let's get into it now.
In its latest move to escalate mass deportations, the Trump administration is granting ICE access to the personal data of nearly 79 million Medicaid enrollees, including home addresses and ethnicity details, under a new agreement with the Department of Health and Human Services.
So Trump about to have access to ethnicities, addresses, social security numbers, birth certificates, which they're gonna mention that stuff in a minute, but they about to have access to all of that. Now it seems like this would violate, confidentiality, privacy, etc. on so many levels. But let's continue.
A DHS spokesperson tells NBC News this is about ensuring undocumented immigrants don't access Medicaid, even though it's already illegal for undocumented immigrants to receive benefits.
So they say they want to get access to Medicaid and Medicare personal information to make sure undocumented immigrants don't have access to Medicaid benefits. Is it really about that? Are they the health insurance police, or are they the police of immigration and deportation? It got nothing to do with undocumented immigrants having Medicaid benefits. It got nothing to do with that. They could give a damn about that. But what it's about is to further target the 12 tribes and to deport them. And what we're going to get in a minute, this is actually a tool they're going to use to start stripping people, American citizens, so-called Mexican Americans, that come up here from South Central America, come up here from Mexico. Y'all have children here and they become immigrants. Esau going to use this to strip them of their citizenship. That's what this really about. It got nothing about monitoring who has access to Medicaid benefits. It got nothing to do with that.
Immigration advocates are calling it a dangerous overreach, warning that it turns healthcare records into a tool for surveillance and deportation.
So yeah, healthcare records is going to be a tool for surveillance and deportation, and that's what not only America, but really the whole world, but especially America is turning into a surveillance state. Everybody is going to be easily identifiable with this new digital system. Everybody's going to be linked to the system, identified at all times, and constantly tracked and monitored on all levels. So that's what this is about.
It's just the latest example of ICE's increasingly aggressive tactics.
I'm going to start from the beginning so we can play without interruption.
In its latest move to escalate mass deportations, the Trump administration is granting ICE access to the personal data of nearly 79 million Medicaid enrollees, including home addresses and ethnicity details under.
I know I said I wasn't going to stop it, but access to the personal information of over 79 million Americans. It says including address and ethnicity, meaning it's not limited to address and ethnicity, but so much more. Again, birth date, social security number, birth certificate, paperwork on how certain citizens became U.S. citizens. They're going to have access to all of that. Your health and medical records, who your parents are, who your children are, who you're related to, where you work at.
Data of nearly 79 million Medicaid enrollees, including home addresses and ethnicity details, under a new agreement with the Department of Health and Human Services. A DHS spokesperson tells NBC News this is about ensuring undocumented immigrants don't access Medicaid, even though it's already illegal for undocumented immigrants to receive benefits. Immigration advocates are calling it a dangerous overreach, warning that it turns healthcare records into a tool for surveillance and deportation. It's just the latest example of ICE's increasingly aggressive tactics. In recent weeks, the agency has expanded its reach by demanding landlords turn over leases, rental applications, and ID cards of tenants.
You hear that? ICE immigration agents is demanding that landlords give leasing documents, and when you sign a lease, they gotta get a copy of your photo ID. So it ain't just the pictures that's at the border in U.S. Customs that they got access to. It ain't just Medicaid and Medicare information, personal information they got access to. Now they going to people's landlords. Let's take that back.
Landlords turn over leases, rent. Agency has expanded its reach by demanding landlords turn over leases, rental applications, and ID cards of tenants, preventing detained immigrants from getting bond hearings, and firing immigration judges in order to fast track deportations.
So this is about oppressing the 12 tribes. Actually going to landlords and getting leasing documents, renters applications, etc. But see, it don't stop there. America is a big database. So you know what they're gonna do next? They're gonna go through the SNAP food benefits. They're gonna start going through that data next, see who they can target. And then pretty much everywhere you go in America, they got rewards and memberships. They want you to sign up for this, sign up for that. You know, download this app to your phone, and they want you to put in your information, your name, your age, your birth date, possibly your address, email address. So ICE gonna have really unlimited access to an unlimited amount of information. And they can start going through, school records, hospital records. I can't even think it was all out there. Hey, but don't be surprised if ICE try to get access to it. Maybe be at the DMV and get, you know, a list of vehicles by license plates, who their owners are. There's no telling. Because it ain't gonna stop here. It's just gonna keep expanding. Because again, what America's turning to is a surveillance state. See, this digital cashless society, all these databases and all this information is going to be integrated into a supercomputer. Because right now, you got a database for this, database for that. No, it's all going to be combined into one gigantic database that Elon Musk is going to build, which he's building a supercomputer right now out there in Memphis, for this purpose. But again, all of the stuff you sign up for. And for example, I went to the scrap um, earlier today. I had some metal to get rid of, which I had an old dryer that I'm throwing out. You take it to the scrap, you get a little change for it. So I'm just dropping off a dryer that don't work. And what do they need? Photo ID, fingerprint, thumbprint. They need to take an updated picture of me, all to throw out a dryer that don't work. So I could collect like $3, because it's, 5 cents per pound. So yeah, ICE got information on all of us, you know, ain't gonna have access to it one way or another. All of the stuff we sign up for that you never consider. And they tell you that it's private, etc. Ain't nothing private. But let's continue.
The latest example of ICE's increasingly aggressive tactics. In recent weeks, the agency has expanded its reach by demanding landlords turn over leases, rental applications, and ID cards of tenants, preventing detained immigrants from getting bond hearings, and firing immigration judges in order to fast track deportations. Joining us now, David.
So yeah, now before we continue, let's get a few precepts. But that's what the scriptures say, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. So every day they brainstorming, what can we do next? What can we do that we haven't done yet? When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. In the power, that would be the law, it would be their budget. Trump giving them the permission to do so. But we're going to get this in the book of Psalms chapter 10, verse 7. We're going to get this in the NLT. Their mouths are full of cursing, lies, and threats. And that's what they doing. They constantly threatening who they going to get next. They going after landlords. They going after Medicaid records. They got pictures of everybody from the database at the U.S. Border and Customs, full of lies, lying to the people, firing judges, who will oversee the hearing of undocumented immigrants or non-American citizens. Trouble and evil are on the tip of their tongues. So they ain't doing nothing but speaking of trouble, mischief, and evil. What they gonna do to the people, and they lying because they're not even deporting the people. They dropping them off in the ocean. And now they throwing them in alligator Alcatraz. Okay, we thought you was deporting them. Why you put them in a concentration camp? We thought you wanted them outside of America. You keeping them in America if they're in a concentration camp. So yeah, their mouths are cursing, full of cursing, lies, and threats. Trouble and evil are on the tip of their tongues. This is the point. Verse 8, they lurk and ambush in the villages. This represents the city. Because what they doing, they ambushing people on a job, ambushing people while they working on the farms. Now none of them want to go to work, waiting to murder innocent people. Because the main people they target are the 12 tribes. Right now they targeting the Northern Kingdom heavily. So-called Central South Americans, so-called Mexicans. They are always searching for helpless victims. You see that? They always searching for helpless victims. Now let's make this a little bigger. Because at first, you know, they was going to places they know Mexicans be. Construction, farms, certain grocery stores, certain neighborhoods. They was searching there first, searching for helpless victims. Now where they searching? Landlords, rental applications, leasing documents. And then when we go back a little bit, now where they searching? Well, ICE will get access to Medicaid enrollees' personal information. That's why it says they are always searching. They searching is not limited to them being out in the city looking for somebody who looks like they're an immigrant. Now they looking and searching in these databases for who they're going to target next. Yeah, now they looking, into these computers, these databases all over the place. So again, they are always searching for helpless victims. They searching right now, not only on the street, but now they somewhere behind a desk, um, searching through these databases. And then they got the phone that you could point at anybody's face to see if it recognizes them. So there's no telling. These niggas might be up in a tree. They may be on top of a building in an undercover car, seeing who face pop up. It says like lions crouched in hiding. That's what they do. They just pop up out of nowhere. They wait to pounce on the helpless, and that would be you 12 tribes. Why you the helpless? You got nobody to defend you. Because when we move forward a little bit in this video, what is Trump also doing? More immigration judges are being fired amid Trump's efforts to speed up deportations. So the judge that would overhear and oversee your case, Trump is firing them. So yeah, you the helpless. And then, America is showing a hate for the 12 tribes. So it's not like these people really got anybody to stick up for them. And anybody who would stick up for them, they probably in danger too of being deported. It says like hunters, they capture the helpless and drag them away in nets. Ain't the people getting dragged away by ICE? Ain't so-called Mexicans, Central South Americans, and now the Haitians, the 12 tribes, getting dragged away by ICE. And what's them nets? Well, it would be them cargo planes. Or wherever they put them at. Verse 10, their helpless victims are crushed. They fall beneath the strength of the wicked. And what's the strength of the wicked? Let's show that real quick. The strength of the wicked. Let's come to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 10. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Who's that poor righteous? The 12 tribes. Let us not spare the widow. They splitting up families. Nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. So they not sparing old or young neither. It says, let our strength be the law of justice. For that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. You see that? Their strength is the law of justice. So back to the book of Psalms 10 and 10 in the NLT, their helpless victims, you 12 tribes, are crushed. They fall beneath the strength of the wicked. And what's the strength of the wicked? their law of justice. So the power of the law is on the side of the wicked. And what is it doing? It's crushing our people. And then not only that, the strength of the wicked would be their military too. Their military, the sword. That's why Trump just gave ICE over $150 billion to strengthen them. So yeah, their helpless victims are crushed. They fall beneath the strength of the wicked. Their strength would be the law of justice, and it would be their military, because that's what ICE is. It's a subdivision of the military, because they got military money to spend. So we're gonna get the next part of this video. And this Edomite going to break it down some more for us.
Deportations. Joining us now, David Beer, Director of Immigration Studies at the Cato Institute. David, welcome back to the weekend. Let's go back to the beginning. 79 million Medicaid records of Americans now being made available to ICE. Why should the American people be concerned about that?
Well, what the hell is ICE doing with Medicaid information?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, look, these are U.S. citizen children, really, who they are targeting. If you look at their U.S. Their birthright citizenship order, it's about stripping U.S. citizens of their U.S. citizenship so they're eligible for deportation.
And how that works is there's American citizens who have Medicaid and Medicare. They're U.S. citizens because they was born on U.S. soil. The thing is, their parents are not U.S. citizens. They may be immigrants, undocumented, or never completed the process. Well, their argument is non-U.S. citizens should not be able to give birth to U.S. citizens, no matter if they're born here. So they want to get the records in Medicaid to see, okay, who has Medicaid, which U.S. citizens have Medicaid, but both of their parents are non-U.S. citizens. Well, this American who has Medicaid, but is a child of non-American citizens, well, that American citizen is going to have their citizenship removed. But they want to speed up the process by looking through the Medicaid records. A good portion of U.S. citizens try to keep his health insurance. Or they want to go through the health insurance, see which American citizens are the child of non-American citizens to remove their citizenship so they can deport them, which we know they're not deporting nobody. They either dropping them off in the ocean or put them in one of these concentration camps. But again, we thought ICE would be looking for gang-related activity. We thought they would be looking for criminal activity. We thought this was about making America safe again. The crime rate is through the roof. Violent crime is through the roof. So what are they helping? We thought y'all was looking for violent, criminal individuals. Why are you looking through Medicaid reports? Why are you looking through leasing documents, rental applications? We're going to take this back so I can let him say his thing without me interrupting.
Yeah, I mean, look, these are U.S. citizen children, really, who they are targeting. If you look at their U.S. Their birthright citizenship order, it's about stripping U.S. citizens of their U.S. citizenship so they're eligible for deportation. It is setting up a scenario where those enrollees, they're U.S. citizens, not the illegal immigrants aren't enrolling in Medicaid. They're already banned from Medicaid by federal law. There's already a process to verify people's citizenship status before they get Medicaid. So it's not about that. It's about getting the records of these kids who they want to deport. They've gone to the U.S. Supreme Court to try to get permission to deport them and round up entire families, including these American kids, and send them to countries that they've never lived in, ever.
So that's what this is about. It's no longer is it about deporting undocumented illegal immigrants. No more is it about deporting non-US citizens. Now it's about going after people who are US citizens because of birthright citizenship. Both their parents are illegals, but because they had their child here in America, now their child are US citizens. Them are the people that ICE and Trump want to go after next. Remove their citizenship. And the argument would be, well, neither are your parents are citizens. Why should you be? Now you're going to be deported. But we got that in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 11. Let our strength be the law of justice. So the law is what gives them the power and authority and the justification to do what they're going to do because it's the law. And then we got Psalms 10 and 10. Their helpless victims are crushed. They fall beneath the strength of the wicked. And that strength will be the law of justice. And this is not justice, this is injustice. So again, at this point, it's not, well, really not at this point. For a while now, it's been past non-US citizens and undocumented immigrants or whatever. Again, we've been saying it, this is war against the 12 tribes. Because just so happened, now they want to come after the Haitians. They argue birthright citizenship concerning the Native Americans, saying just because they was born here don't mean they should have citizenship. So those who got eyes to see, it's clear what's going on. This is a war against the 12 tribes. Now let's see what else you got to say.
Yeah. And that really typifies the Trump administration's mass deportation strategy, which the first stage of it is stripping people of their legal status and U.S. citizenship to open them up to deportation. The second stage is to detain people without a reasonable basis. And then the third stage is to deport without due process. And that's exactly what we've seen with these Alien Enemy Act deportees to Venezuela or to El Salvador and then ultimately to Venezuela, because that is their strategy. They understand they can't follow the Constitution and actually accomplish the goals that they've set out, which is millions and millions of people being rounded up and removed from this country, even if they have not committed any crimes or other offenses in the United States.
Yeah.
So like you say, the goal is to remove millions of people from the United States. And the millions of people would be U12 tribes. So-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians. It's the 12 tribes they want to remove. Because it ain't like they doing mass deportations of East Indians, Arabs, Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, Filipinos, white South Africans, Ukrainians, etc. The whole time they've been targeting the 12 tribes. But like you say, they gotta remove your citizenship, then deny you your rights. A due process, seeing a judge, getting a lawyer, and then they can deport you. Because like you say, legally, they can't move how they want to move because of the Constitution. But that's why they're going above and beyond on finding ways to remove people's citizenship. So that's where they at with it. I think that's about all we're going to get from him. We're going to get a few more precepts. So this is the book of I'm going to move a couple things real quick. Hey, so this is the book of Sirach, also known as Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. And what happens with iron when it starts to rust? It get worse and worse. You can't stop it. That's the same with Esau's wickedness. For example, back to the first video, that through the madness and the chaos and them deporting people, they trying out a new facial recognition phone app whose database is linked to the US border and customs. So like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So in the midst of him already doing wickedness, of targeting and oppressing and snatching up people, snatching up families, he out there practicing what he's gonna do next with his new facial recognition phone app. He out there already practicing setting up for the next stage of their plans. And then concerning this, that ICE now get access to Medicaid personal information, birth date, social security number, addresses, ethnicities, your families, who your parents are, who your children are, then they background information. But hold on, we thought it was about deporting um criminal immigrants. That turned out not to be the case. Then we thought it was about deporting immigrants, undocumented, non-US citizens. Turned out that's not the case neither. Because they keeping them in America in these concentration camps, if not just dropping them off in the ocean. Turns out all this time, because like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So you gotta watch this devil long enough to see what he really up to. And to come to find out, he did all of this to finally come to the point that he wants to strip US citizens of their citizenship. And the best argument he got is, well, your parents weren't born here. Who cares if you was born here? Who cares if you a US citizen? Your parents are not, so why should you be one? They're gonna do all this to try to go around the Constitution any way they can. Again, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. It has no limit. And then getting the Medicaid information, it didn't stop there. Because when we come here, this nigga's doing what? He's getting information from people's landlords, rental implications, leasing documents, copies of people's photo IDs. The Medicaid information wasn't good enough. I just know now that he's going to go through school records, college records, you know, doctor, dentistry, and hospital records and databases. We just know he's going to be there next. Food SNAP benefits. He's going to go through that information next. Like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, so it doesn't stop. Rust never stops. So is his wickedness. It only get worse. Then come to find out, this nigga Trump is firing judges, who will oversee the cases of these people that they deporting. They get denied bond. They don't get a chance to see a lawyer nor a judge. Like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Now we're gonna come back to the book of Psalms chapter 10, verse 8 in the NLT. We got a little something I gotta show, Lord willing, before this computer die. We'll start at verse 8. They lurk in ambush in the villages, waiting to murder innocent people. It says they are always searching for helpless victims. And we went into that. They in the streets searching. They on people's jobs searching. They at the schools, at the grocery stores searching. Now they searching through databases. Now they going through rental applications and leasing documents. But again, they are always searching for helpless victims. They searching for you 12 tribes. Now, Keep in mind that they always search for helpless victims. Now we're going to go to the book of Psalms, chapter 64. We're going to get 5 through 6. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. So they encourage each other in their wickedness. Anybody got any ideas? Well, that's what the scriptures say. Woe to them that work evil upon their beds, and then when the morning is like, they practice it because they have the power to do so. So they get together and just brainstorm of the craziest ideas of what they're gonna do next. They commune of laying snares privily. Then they say, "Who shall see them?" So that's why they're trying to work around the law and work around the Constitution. We know what they're doing. We think they think that we don't see them coming for the so-called African Americans, the so-called Negroes next. We see what you're doing. They inching their way closer and closer to the Negroes because it's us, you know, the tribe of Judah, the Southern Kingdom, they the lead tribe. So that's ultimately who they after, all 12 tribes, but they making their way to the Southern Kingdom to start deporting, etc. But remember what we got earlier, just a minute ago, they're always searching for helpless victims. Now, Psalm 64, verse 6, they search out iniquities. They search out wickedness. Again, they brainstorm what they can do next. They get everybody in a room. They drink tea, drink coffee. They got a chalkboard. They got an overhead projector. Searching out iniquity. Now you got Chat GPT and AI that can help them search out new ways of being wicked and committing evils. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Yeah, they're accomplishing a diligent search. That's why they got access, to landlord information, rental applications, leasing documents. That's why they got access to Medicaid personal information. That's them accomplishing a diligent search. And then back to the phone app, facial recognition to identify the people. That's linked to the database for everybody that comes into America and leaves America. They accomplish a diligent search. They not just out in the streets looking for people who look like they're illegal. They taking their diligent search to the next level. Both the inward thought of every one of them and our heart is deep. So yeah, they be in a deep thought on searching out iniquity. But again, Psalm 64 and 6, they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search. We got to get this word diligent. Because when I looked into it, I was blown away. And we know what it means for the most part to be diligent, to continuously, work at something and pushing forward. They accomplish a diligent search. I think this was the word. Let's get this word diligent. We're going to start here. So a diligent search. It says to search for, to search out. That's why they got these different databases they going through. It says to think out, to devise. To practice something, to search out, to test. And that's to practice something. Because what did it say? ICE is using a new facial recognition phone app to identify people. So they testing out new facial recognition. That's part of that diligent search. To search out to be exposed. Now, this is the point here. It says to disguise oneself. So when the scriptures say they accomplish a diligent search, one of the things that people been doing, they've been getting fake ICE costumes off of Amazon to look for what they call illegal immigrants. Pretty much Mexicans, Central Americans, and South Americans. So they accomplish a diligent search. They out in the streets looking for people. They got phone apps with facial recognition. They searching through the Medicaid database and other databases. But it says to disguise oneself. So part of them accomplishing that diligent search, they disguise themselves. You got people who are not ICE agents, but they got on ICE agent costumes, pretty much. Also, you got people who are actually ICE agents who don't wear no identifiable uniform. ICE agents out there in camo and tactical gear or just straight up regular clothing. That's why I said it's to disguise oneself, and that's part of their diligent search. So to search for, to search through, to search out, to be sought out, to disguise oneself. Now we don't stop there. Let's go here next to the Strong's info. Strong's info, it says let be sought. It says mask or change. Disguise, self, to hide, to search out. So how are they hiding? ICE wearing regular clothing. And then it says mask. Most ICE agents or people that's participating in hunting down so-called Mexicans, they wearing masks. People complaining like that. They're like, okay, if you at least gonna do some kind of government work, some kind of law enforcement work, we should at least be able to see your face. But that's part of that diligent search. They will disguise oneself. They will hide their identity. They will wear a mask while accomplishing that diligent search. While constantly searching for helpless victims. They disguise themselves. They got masks. They hide their identity. So while you out and about, you don't know who's an ICE agent, who's not. If you see an ICE agent, you don't know if he's certified or not. Yeah, these devils wicked. But Psalm 64, we're going to get 1 through 2, and that's it. Both, hold on. Hear my voice, O Lord, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. And what our people fear right now? Being deported, snatched up, separated from their families, through an alligator, Alcatraz, or another concentration camp, through in the middle of the ocean, or who knows what Esau got cooking next that we ain't heard about, but it's going to come out. Preserve my life from the fear of the enemy. This is your enemies. They going through all of this just to deport you. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. See that? What's that secret counsel? Where they do that diligent search, finding ways that they're going to target you next. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. And this ain't got nothing to do with the devil and Satan. This is the counsel of the wicked that we see happening before our eyes. Why would why do these people need personal data from Medicaid? Why are they harassing landlords, etc.? Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. So now we know who we need protection from now. If you ain't been new, you should know now. These people go through great lengths to identify you and target you and just to deport you and kill you. They got to go through all these executive orders and House bills and changing and tweaking the laws, question the Constitution, question your American rights. That's the secret counsel of the wicked. That's what we need to be preserved from. So that's the lesson. ICE now has access to private databases for deportations and citizenship removal. The non-American citizens, the immigrants, he not worried about them no more. Now the next target would be you 12 tribes who have U.S. citizenship. And he's starting with the U.S. citizens whose parents are not U.S. citizens. So, Lord willing, that was informative and edifying. Until next time, Shalom.